One of the most eye-popping things outside of my Tennessee Titans their signings, we'll get to that in a little bit, is in free agency this week was Saquon Barkley going to the Philadelphia Eagles. That was not expected at all. I was a little surprised. The running back market was just going crazy. The Packers cut Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, I think they just let go of. They signed Josh Jacobs. The Bears, who I thought might be a player for Saquon Barkley, they go ahead and get Swift from the Eagles, who's a good running back, but he's not Saquon Barkley. Later turns out the Bears wanted to spend more of their money on other things, which I completely understand. And Titans signed Tony Pollard. Ravens, they get Derrick Henry. Joe Mixon, I believe, went to the Texans. Just a ton of running back moves all over the league. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, the Eagles specific, like we knew Saquon Barkley, he wasn't staying with the Giants, right? He was there for 6 years. There's the injury factor. It wasn't working out. He's supposed to be this all generational running back, and it's time to move on before like his prime is literally over. So he signs with the Eagles, which was a big surprise. Not that the Eagles weren't a good fit. I mean, they need a running back, especially losing Swift. But in general, Jalen Hurts did not have the greatest year last year. They had some problems spreading out the ball. Of course, you got AJ Brown, and what's it, Devontae Smith. But Jalen with Jalen Hurts struggling, that doesn't matter. You got to balance out the running game a little bit. So you add Saquon Barkley, and that I think is a great move. Now, a little more, we'll get to a little more on that in the fit, but let's go over the drama a little bit because there was some drama surrounding this. So Tiki Barber, if you don't remember, he was the Giants running back in the late 1990s, early mid 2000s. He was really good. He had 3 really good seasons and then retired in his prime, which is a whole nother story. If you want, go look up Tiki Barber. It's he's an interesting story. Nothing too bad, but there's some rumors about him cheating on his wife and him quitting on the team, then making some comments about it after. It's an interesting story about him. So I'm not going to go too far into it. Just go look it up if you have some free time. But Tiki Barber, so he was the running back of the Giants, and he does radio for one of the New York sports channels. I don't know. So he's and if you live in one of those big city bubbles, like I'm close to Chicago. I hear the Chicago sports radio. Those are big deals. Like people still, I know people don't listen to the radio as much anymore, but like in those big cities for sports, those are still the big thing. And they go on their podcasts and all that too, right? Uh, so Saquon, or not, excuse me, not Saquon Barkley, Tiki Barber is on the radio station for the Giants, and he had some things to say about Saquon Barkley leaving. Again, he's supposed to be representing Giants fans. So he says something like he's dead to him or something like that. I don't have the exact quote. But he was essentially expressing that all love for Saquon is over. You go to the rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe trying to give them the final piece for another Super Bowl. You're dead to us Giants fans, and you took maybe some things would take in the money. I forget. It was a short quote by him, but then Saquon Barkley responded on Twitter in a pretty lengthy response, talking about how he wanted to get the money. He had nothing but love and support for Giants fans. In the 6 years he was there, but he had the right and he was talking about the contract a little bit, and then he took a shot at Tiki Barber. But first, actually, it was the first comment he made in that tweet. Take a shot at Tiki Barber about his about how he handled things, about well, you're one to talk about loyalty. So that's an interesting swipe right there. That's an interesting swipe for a number of reasons. Is because part of it is true. Tiki Barber did not leave the Giants on good terms. I know some of that was rumored, but in the end, he retired abruptly, and he has mixed ties with the organization, mixed ties with Eli Manning, mixed ties, yada yada, tons of mixed ties with all of them. So there's some truth to that. However, there's also some truth to what Tiki Barber is saying, is that how dare you go to the rival Eagles when you could have, okay, pay was a big thing. We get it. You're not staying with the Giants anymore. Just don't, there's like 2 teams we don't want you to go to. Maybe I'm not even counting Washington because I know they're in the division, but they haven't been that great. I'm sure there wouldn't be a huge uproar. 2 teams you can't go to, the Eagles and the Cowboys if you're Saquon Barkley, and he goes to one of them. There's 29 other teams you could have went to. So that's Tiki Barber's probably position. I'm assuming so. So where do I come down on this? Well, we did a poll on PWTB. By the way, PWTB for the number four, and then life on our Instagram. Go check that out. 500 followers and climbing. You can see this under the polls. I think we posted it. Who was the best? Who was right in the argument? Who had the best case in the argument? And I think overwhelmingly it was about 70 something percent to 20 something percent. Our followers agreed with Saquon Barkley. But some did agree with Tiki Barber, even though he's the one who instigated it. In an argument, it's good when I think there's valid points to both. It's good to back up and realize, okay, who started this? I don't want to call it a meaningless fight, but who started the dogfight? And it was Tiki Barber. He started the punches. So he wanted this to happen. Does he have a valid enough point to win it all? I don't know. I don't know. I actually take the underdog position on this, I guess. I side a little more with Tiki Barber. I think it's the rival. Like, you don't have to hate him for life. He could still retire a Giant maybe one day. I don't know. I don't even know if he did enough for the Giants to do that, but you could still do that. But for now, you're not my friend. Once you retire, we can be friends again. You can come to the stadium, wave during a week 4 game or whatever. I don't know. But right now, you went to the Eagles. We are not friends. Should he have attacked Saquon maybe as personally as he did? Maybe not. But I think he's more right than Saquon is. So I take the underdog position on this.